Okay, so I guess that. Okay, you know what? Yeah, you know what? We'll go with that tier list stuff. We got amazing, very good, enjoyable, and meh. Now hear me out. I'm going to rate this both on casual, both on impact at the time, and also speedrun and rando. And I will actually give explanations this time, I promise. They won't be the biggest explanations, but they'll be there. I'm going to try and do this roughly in order. I might mix up when a couple of them come out here and there. Like, I don't know where to put Coliseum and XD with some of this. But also, you know, if I didn't play like red, but I played blue or something, like this is just kind of universal. So I'm going to put red in I. Okay? It started the franchise in terms of video games. I mean, like Pokemon Green did, but like, you know, for the sake of this, Gen 1's bad. A lot of people like it because of nostalgia, and also like it because like it was the first, like, you know, Pokemon generation. So like there's a lot of innovation to it because it's literally the first one. It did not age well, IMO. I think it deserves to be an I. Okay. Yellow is also I, but it's going to be above red and blue just because it tried its best to have crossover, and it also tried to, like, you know, in terms of like anime, like there's also like a harder version of this, which this isn't really that hard. Like red isn't very hard. Yellow's like Kaizo red. Well, you know, Kaizo in quotes, because like, you know, there's Kaizos that are actually hard, but like it's like a soft Kaizo kind of deal. But yeah, because it drew some anime influence, like you were able to get like a bunch of the really like cool mons early. So also, like, I think shirtless Brock looks dumb and Brock with a jacket looks better. Moving on, they don't have gold. All right, well, you know, if they had, okay, I'm looking. So platinum, Is there no Pokemon Gold? Wow, this tier list sucks. All right, we're just using this tier list anyway. Well, okay, so Crystal, the Gold and Silver would be right next to Crystal. So we'll just go with this. But anyway, yeah, Crystal's very good. Now, here's the thing. Crystal's not the best. Its level curve is kind of bad, and the way that it distributed the new mons was kind of crap. But I think it gets too much crap for that because it is the second generation. You know what kind of data they had available for how people's playing habits were? Very little. I think people give it way too much shit for the like amount of problems that it had when they didn't have a real way to know they were problems. It was also a little less open world than Gen 1 was. Like, Gen 1 is actually, like, surprisingly open in the mid-game. Whereas, like, Crystal, you can deviate one of two ways. But yeah, I think it's not as bad as some people think in terms of, like, the design flaws, because it was the second generation. They didn't really know what to improve yet. Let's see. So, Ruby and Sapphire aren't here, which is a bummer. They would be an enjoyable for the reasons of their just Emerald Light. Like, Emerald does everything Ruby and Sapphire does better. My only knock on Emerald is they really wanted to push double battles as much as possible. That's not correct, Dirty Beach. Once you get to Ekritik, it's pretty open for a little bit. Like, you could do a lot of that stuff out of order. In fact, the intended order of the game is to go to Mahogany and do all the rocket stuff, and then go to Olivine, and then go to Cyanwood. But like, you could do all three of those in any order. Like, it's not linear. It's linear up until Ekritik. They don't have Diamond Pro. Oh, right. FireRed LeafGreen. I'm gonna put his eye. I know that the Kaizo community would hate me for this. The Kaizo Ironmon community. Yeah, rockets were supposed to be first. Do you not see their levels? They're lower than the Olivine Lighthouse. Does linearity really make Crystal lesser though? And no one's saying linearity makes it lesser. But anyway, yeah, FireRed LeafGreen sucks. I'm sorry. It's better than the original Gen 1 because it incorporates like a lot of the fantastic stuff that came from Gen 3. Like Gen 2, like, okay, let me go back real quick. Gen 2 introduced like breeding, which is still used to this day. Very important. Night-day cycle, which is a very important aspect that's been added. And then Gen 3 like added abilities. Abilities are huge. Abilities made some Pokemon like viable. No, there's a misunderstanding here. I said that it's intended that you go to the rockets first. Like you're supposed to go Mahogany, then Olivine, then Cyanwood. Like that's just look at the level scaling of the game. That's very clearly what they were intending. But yeah, anyway. Also Battle Tower, like post-game became huge. Like technically like Kanto's post-game in Crystal, so like that's like the first major post-game, but like post-game in Emerald is like massive. FireRed LeafGreen sucks. Yeah, you're biased if you think that it deserves to be higher than this. Sorry. But next up, let's do Coliseum because we're about to go to Gen 4, so I should probably do Coliseum and XD. I hate double battles. I despise them. They're kind of butt. Controversial takes, I'm sure, because there's people that do like the GameCube games. I think these suck. I think they're fucking awful. They are not fun to me. They don't really introduce anything new that stays with the franchise. They are butt. They are absolute butt. In fact, I'm going to give XD slightly higher than Coliseum because XD has Shadow Lugia. That is it. That's all they get. Moving on. There's no Diamond or Pearl. Diamond or Pearl would be in high I to low enjoyable tier. Platinum, I think belongs in amazing. I honestly think that Platinum is the second best game in the entire franchise, not counting like Legends. I think Legends actually is the #1 game in the franchise. But, you know, for the sake of this. So, Diamond, Pearl, Platinum, you know, they introduced the whole physical special split. It made some Pokemon a little less viable and made some of them actually usable. Once again, post-game was fantastic. This is when they started trying to care about plot a little more. Like, obviously, there's plot in Emerald. There's lesser plot in Crystal, and then Gen 1 exists. But Platinum is where they started really caring about the third game so much that it became like the staple game. Like, Gold and Silver were still great. Crystal wasn't necessary. Ruby and Sapphire are still great. Emerald was just improved Ruby and Sapphire. Platinum is the first time that they really were like, yeah, the third game is actually like what we care about. But like, this deserves to be up here. Absolutely. HeartGold, SoulSilver is the best in the franchise. That isn't PLA. I know some people, i.e. Etchy, everyone boo Etchy, does not think it's worth that. But it is that good. They could have stopped Pokemon there, and Pokemon would be fine. Pokemon as a franchise, like, obviously it wouldn't be $1 billion franchise at that point, but like, they could have stopped. They could have just stopped here. They really could have stopped here. It is the best that they could have done for a remake, period. Yeah, it's so good that it's so hard to get now. Like, this game is fantastic. Next, I am actually going to be perfectly clear and say that I haven't casually played Gen 5 before. But that doesn't mean I don't know anything about it. I've watched playthroughs, I've watched speedruns, I've read lore, I've done all of this stuff. So I've done everything but actually just sit down and play it slow myself. Gen 5 is super duper polarizing. It was basically a reboot of the series. Some people did not like it. Some people didn't like the art. Some people didn't like the super focus on story. It belongs here. In fact, it actually belongs here. Despite how controversial some people see the game when like it's like, oh, it's good. No, it's not. It introduced hidden abilities. It actually had like a serviceable to good plot. It deserves a remake. And the argument case for Black 2, White 2 being as high as it is. Renewable repels. In fact, if it were just off a game mechanic alone, I would make another tier and put Black 2, White 2 above everything else, just because of renewable repels. That is it. But overall, the entire package, I believe they're here. You can make an argument that you can put Black and White in enjoyable. And in fact, just for differentiation, I will put it in enjoyable, but it is enjoyable plus, and Black 2 is like very good minus. The big problem in terms of design that these two have is like the leveling for Pokemon to evolve hurts the franchise later. I think the evolution levels in Gen 5 were fine. I think outside of Gen 5, they really weren't worth it. So they kind of went to the extreme, like it's like an extreme opposite of Crystal. Like like the level curve is completely different. Like they're literally like on the other side of the graph for each other. Also the whole reusable TM thing, really, really good. So fucking stupid that they got rid of it. My only knock and why I wouldn't put them higher than they are right now is because I think a lot of the redesigns are kind of meh. I'm not someone who's like, oh my god, they made an ice cream cone, that's terrible. But like, I think like in their effort with Black and White to like completely reboot the game, some of the designs are amiss. Moving on. Here we are with Pokemon X. Yo, thanks for gifting that sub. X, I am going to put here. I know a lot of people also hate Gen 6, and X is kind of meh. I know meh's a tier, but like, it made competitive stuff easier to start getting into. It was their attempt at 3D, and while it was kind of a miss with that, it was also really easy to get people into it. The problem with Pokemon up until Gen 6, okay, the problem with Pokemon until Gen 6 is you didn't necessarily need to play all of the games beforehand, but there was a steep learning curve the further into the game you got. Gen 1 was easy, type chart, done. Gen 2 was easy, type chart, done. Gen 3 was not as easy because type chart and worry about abilities. Gen 4, now all of a sudden, who cares about the type chart? It might be super effective, but they might have really strong physical bulk, so Fire Punch isn't going to be good in this case. And you might do more damage with a neutral special move instead of a super effective physical move. And then Gen 5 also just shares that problem with Gen 4. But like, Gen 6, even though it has all those mechanics, like, a lot of Gen 6 felt simplified. And also, I am actually for experience share, the way that it is. I understand the argument of being able to turn it off, which you can in Gen 6. Like, Gen 6 and Gen 7, you can turn the experience share off. But I am for it, because a Pokemon game being easier is better marketability and better to get more players in than it is for it to be harder. And the more players there are, the better chance that we can get people that play competitively later, or play in an entertaining fashion, i.e. challenge runs later, or play in a competitive fashion in terms of speed runs later. the more the merrier with that. So I'm actually putting X up here because I think like it was a great entry point for people that weren't in the series yet. And even though some of us kind of groaned because like, I think the designs of the Pokemon in it are actually fantastic. I think they kind of missed with the 3D a little bit though. Orasco's here. I don't think it's better than Black 2 White 2, but it's the second best remake. Pokemon Sun had so much potential. Pokemon Ultra Moon came out, and it's what Pokemon Sun and Moon should have been. They literally released a beta and then gave us a better game. Alola's cool. The concept of Alola is cool. The execution's kind of meh. The concept is good, though. But it is still better than Leaf Green and Red and Blue. Like, the biggest problem and what really puts them lower for me than I think they should be, like, I think they should be a little higher than what I'm putting it, but what really stops it is that's when cutscenes became too prevalent. So the pacing of everything was trash. Let's go. Very good. In fact, this might be a little controversial to some people. I'm actually putting it up here. It's a slightly different game experience. But the crossover between people that started playing Go and had never played like a regular sized game and people who have been veterans of the game and haven't tried Go yet was so huge that I think Let's Go is actually criminally underrated with its impact in the series. I think it actually is better than Crystal. And it is just straight up the best game on the Switch that isn't Legends. Sword and Shield. Who's ready for the actual hot take? Because I know that some of these are a little bit of a hot take. And I know there's going to be disagreement. But who's ready? Who's ready for the hot take? I don't think it's going to be as hot as I'm saying. Like, I think most people are going to be like, oh, yeah, I can see that. I would rather play Gen 1 than Sword. I remember when I was speedrunning it, and there were a lot of people that were like, this game's bad. I'm like, no, like, I think people are just being too bitchy. I still think people are being too bitchy about it. I don't think it's a bad game. I don't think there's actually a bad Pokemon game. But it is not good. Sword and Shield is like a beta of a beta. And what I mean by that is like, look at the wild area and then look at what PLA is. They basically beta'd PLA. And then PLA is like beta for Violet and Scarlet. Like, it's a beta of a beta. It's not... There are games, right? If anyone asked me, like, should I play this Pokemon game? It's very few times where I would give a serious, not meme answer of, you can skip this. Sword and Shield, you can skip. Now then, obviously, there is no BDSP on this list, and there is no Legends on this list. If you want to know where I would put them, BDSP would be probably between X and Ultra, I think. I think it's enjoyable. I think it's kind of bad, but like I think it's enjoyable. Impact-wise, it's not really like that impactful, but at the same time, it shows just how much people clamor for remakes. So I think it's comfortably like between X and Ultra. And if we did PLA, then my absolute hot take would be it would be above HeartGold. Because PLA does have problems, but so does HeartGold and Souls Platinum. And Legends is so impactful in its difference, in its change in the formula, and is actually just straight up exactly what the franchise needs to continue without people being sad. So I think PLA would be above HeartGold. And then it'd be HeartGold. Then it'd be Platinum. Then it'd be everything from here. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.